Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Explore China Tanzhou Zhongguo. Today I'm here in Duisburg, a West German town with the biggest inland port of the whole world. And tomorrow I will be asking Johannes Grünhage from this city's China affairs a lot of questions concerning European-China trade involving this harbor here. Enjoy! Right, here we are in the dripping rain at the end of the Silk Road, of the OBO, of the One Belt One Road initiative in Duisburg, in the West German town. You can see all the containers from all over the world here. And this is, I think, Lokport 1. So this is in the southwest, in Rheinhausen of Duisburg. And you can see that usually here the big ships will come and then all the containers will be loaded on there. Yeah, amazing. And now I'm really motivated to write my master's thesis in this topic in international freight forwarding. And yeah, and I think this railway line from here to China is called Yuxin O or something like this. You can see on the container all the way back there. Yes, officially at the end of the Silk Road. Yeah guys, check this out. This Ro-Ro Anlage where the PKWs, where the cars can roll onto the ship and then go all the way everywhere, because actually me and my father, we were just wondering, how do cars get transported overseas and shipped? Maybe in a container or just on a deep vessel where they just roll on and roll off. And then I searched for this and I saw that there's not only one option, as some pages, internet pages said there are more cars being shipped in containers, and there's like 4 to 6, like in one of these 40-foot equivalent units, 4 to 6 cars can fit in. I don't know, maybe small cars, but then you have these roll on, roll off things. Yeah. Now I'm here with Johannes Grünhage from the city of Duisburg, and he's doing a lot of administrative things regarding China and the dealings with China. And maybe you can first of all introduce yourself a little bit.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you very much, and hello everybody. My name is Johannes Grünhage and I'm the head of the Office of Chinese Affairs of the city of Duisburg. As you know, Duisburg is a very important place for Chinese investments and for projects with China. For example, the Belt and Road initiatives. We have more than 120 Chinese companies here in our city, a lot of Chinese associations, groups, institutions. We have a very big East Asian institute at the University of Duisburg-Essen, and a fast-growing Chinese community with more than 1,300 Chinese inhabitants here in Duisburg. And that's the reason why China is getting more and more important for the city of Duisburg. So our Lord Mayor decided to build up an Office of Chinese Affairs, which is responsible for all China-related topics and projects. So the office, in fact, serves as a first point of contact for any Chinese project, for Chinese political decision makers, institutions, companies, for the Chinese community here. And we work closely together with all institutions that work with China in Duisburg, with the aim to manage all these Chinese-related projects, and also work closely together with our neighboring cities like Düsseldorf or Cologne. Yeah, my name is Johannes Grünhage, and before I started my position here in Duisburg, I worked for the city of Düsseldorf for a couple of years, and I studied East Asian Studies here at the University of Duisburg-Essen with the focus on political science and Chinese.
Wow, interesting. Thank you so much for this introduction and to explain to us what you're doing. And as I understood right now is the city of Duisburg, they created this office in order to have like one office where people, Chinese institutions or German institutions can reach out if they want to do any business or things with the other country, right? So who is usually contacting you?
Well, first of all, we work closely together with political delegations, with the city of Wuhan, and this is very important to emphasize. The city of Duisburg has a very long cooperation with the city of Wuhan, the sister city of Duisburg. This cooperation was established 40 years ago and is the oldest and longest sister city cooperation with German and Chinese city. So the cooperations with Wuhan are very important for us. This year we celebrate this 40 years anniversary with a lot of events where you all are invited. But a lot of people are contacting us. For instance, we work closely together with our Office of Economic Development, the so-called Wirtschaftsförderung, which is responsible for the investment projects. And if there are any questions regarding administrative procedures, then we help our Wirtschaftsförderung, our Office of Economic Development, and also the Chinese companies to understand the administrative procedures. As you know, especially immigration law and other issues are really complex, very complicated, and we are part of the city administration, so it's very easy for us to communicate administrative information. But we have a wide range of corporations and institutions that come to our office, starting from the university, the Duisburg local schools, which work closely on Chinese as a foreign language, and I think very important is the communication with political decision makers in Germany, like the ministries on the local and federal level, as well as Chinese institutions and representatives here in Germany, like the Consulate General in Düsseldorf.
Okay, thank you for this. I got now a more clear picture. I think this is something very interesting. And again, thanks for having us today here and for telling us something about Duisburg as the port at the end point of the new Silk Road, or the OBOR, the One Belt One Road initiative, which officially started 2013, but actually trains were rolling already from 2011, if I remember correctly. And yeah, for telling us about all these things today.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
We are here still in the Innenharbour of Duisburg city, and now I would like to ask you about the One Belt One Road initiative and what role does it play for Duisburg? What impact does it have on Duisburg? And maybe you can tell us about the cooperation which Duisburg has here with China, and also,
Yes, of course. Well, actually, as I already said, Duisburg has a very long history with Chinese corporations. We started in the 80s, so we have 40 years cooperations with China and also investments with China starting from the 80s. But actually, the Belt and Road initiatives, this initiative is very important one for Duisburg. 2011, and the first trains departure from China, from Chongqing, and arrived in Duisburg. And in that times we had 1 to 3 train connections every week between Duisburg and China. 2014, the Chinese President Xi Jinping visited the Duisport, our harbor, and the city of Duisburg, and from that time the connections between Duisburg and China were developed very fast. 2019 we had about 40 train connections every week between Duisburg and China. And during the COVID-19 pandemic situation, topics like logistics and e-commerce became more and more important. And due to that reason, we even got more train connections between Duisburg and China. The peak of these connections and the transportation volume were 60 train connections between Duisburg and Chinese destinations last year. And this means that the logistics corporations between Duisburg and Chinese destinations like Chongqing, Wuhan, Zhengzhou or other port cities became more and more important. It is important, of course, for Chinese producers to export their products to Europe, and also for our local companies to export their products to the Chinese market.
May I interrupt you?
Yes, of course.
What companies exactly? Is there like I guess car industry plays a huge role?
Yes, of course. It's a car industry, but also it's actually a huge range of products and industries, starting from IT technology, car industry, technical products, but also food and beverages actually, and also products for animals like Tierfutter, for instance. This is very important. It's very important to mention that Duisburg is a very important hub for logistics. And 50 years ago, actually, Duisburg was also very important for logistics. We have the world's largest inner harbor here, and that's the reason why Chinese companies decided to use Duisburg as a logistic hub to export their products not only to Duisburg but also to other cities in the European Union. And Duisburg serves as a hub in this logistic projects.
Okay, I see. And now to one very interesting question for me. This is, why should companies decide to use railway transport, use the railway link to China, passing Russia, Mongolia or Kazakhstan, and not taking ships, big vessels or even air transport?
Well, the train connection is a very efficient way of transportation. You only need around 10 to 12 days from China to Duisburg, and that means it's a very fast connection. If you use the transportation via vessels, then you need more than 30 days actually, and you have your products in the big harbors and ports like Shanghai, Ningbo, Qingdao, and then here in Europe in Rotterdam or in Bremerhaven. But the products still have not arrived at your customer. If you have this train connection, then you can send your products from actually all Chinese cities to European cities, and the transportation is so much faster and much efficient. Of course, it's more expensive actually, but the services are better. So it's very important for an in-time production to use this transportation.
Okay, I see. And the cost, I think you told me earlier already, is like twice the amount of sea transport. But right now the prices of transporting goods via sea is also rising. Is that
the costs and the fees are always rising actually, and due to the logistic problems like closed ports in China due to COVID-19 outbreaks, the Suez Canal a couple of months ago, all these problems leads to higher fees and prices for transportation. But in fact, transportation via vessels, the sea route, is not so expensive like the train connection. But these prices have a lot of changes actually. A couple of weeks ago, transportation via a sea for one container cost around 5,000 to 6,000 euro, and transportation via train around 10,000 euro. But these prices are not fixed, and they are changed actually.
Okay, I see. As I've learned already, Duisburg has a huge Chinese community, and we are already now in it, in the district of Neudorf. And Johannes told me that here many people and many Chinese students live, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this.
Yes, of course. So welcome everybody to the district of Neudorf, and this is a very interesting district. It's between our city center and the university. After the establishment of the cooperation with our sister city Wuhan, the University of Duisburg-Essen also established a lot of cooperations and research programs with Chinese universities. And that leads to a rising number of Chinese students. Right now, the university has more than 2,000 students and researchers from China, and this is actually the largest number of Chinese students at one university in Germany. Due to that fact, the Chinese community grows very fast actually. Right now we have more than 1,300 inhabitants from China. Obviously, that's not a large number due to the fact that Duisburg is a city with nearly more than 500,000 inhabitants. But the Chinese community mostly lives and works here in the district of Neudorf. More than 1,000 Chinese inhabitants live here in Neudorf. And Neudorf is a sort of a Chinatown actually. We have a lot of Chinese restaurants, Chinese shops, Asia markets, and Chinese bubble tea, night hardium, and with the target groups, well, Asian and Chinese students and employees. It's very interesting to analyze the Chinese population here. We have more than 400, 500 people between the age of 20 and 30 years, so these are mainly students. And then a very fast rising number of people that are older than 30 years, and these are entrepreneurs. A lot of Chinese students start their own companies here in Duisburg, or startups. And a lot of Chinese students became employees, and we have a lot of Chinese companies here, and their employees mainly come from China directly, work and live here in Duisburg, and they stay here for a long-term period. It's not like the other expat communities where people come for 3 or 5 years and then move back to their home country, but the Chinese community they live and work here, and they start also their family life here. A couple of years ago, we had around 20 Chinese kids between the age of 1 and 6 years. That's not enough actually, and not so many.
Okay.
Right now, more than 70. That means that there are growing families. The community is growing actually, not only due to the relocation to Duisburg, but also here. People want to stay here, they'll start their studies here, and then they'll start their working life. And that's a very good point. That means that Duisburg is very attractive for expats and students from China.
And only more than 1,000 students live here in this area?
Well, no, actually more than 1,000 Chinese inhabitants live here in this area. And we think around 400, 500 are Chinese students. The University of Duisburg-Essen has more than 2,000 Chinese students, but they have two campuses, one in Essen, one in Duisburg. And the students not only live in Duisburg, they also live in Düsseldorf, Mülheim, or in the neighboring cities. It's important to know the Rhein-Ruhr area has a lot of cities and districts, so it's not far away actually. From Neudorf you need only 20 minutes to go to Düsseldorf. And for us it's more or less important to see how Chinese activities are in the region. In this region we have more than 50,000 Chinese inhabitants. Düsseldorf has around 4,000 to 5,000. Cologne also. We have more than 1,000 Chinese companies here in the region, in the Rhein-Ruhr area. So the whole area here is very attractive for Chinese companies and for Chinese people.
Then I already say thank you to you. It was a pleasure to have you here, to have asked you a few questions and to learn a lot about Duisburg and Duisburg in cooperation with China and the OBOR initiative. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, you're more than welcome, and to everybody, Huaning Lai Duisbau. You are welcome
to come to Duisburg.
To come to Duisburg. Yeah.
Yes, we will. I can also recommend it. Come here and see the city for yourself. It's really nice, and the port is very interesting. Goodbye.
Bye bye.